Hello everyone. In the last class, I explained you regarding the law of demand, and in this video, I'm going to explain you regarding the types of a demand. So, which are the types, and in that, I'm going to explain you the subtypes of elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand refers to the degree to which demand responds to the change in another economic factor such as price, income level, or substitute availability. And elasticity measures the demand shift when other economic factor changes. So here we are going to consider only the demand with respect to the other determinants by considering the other determinants, how the demand is dependent on the other determinants, how it changes according to the other determinants changes. So elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to changes in one of the variable on which demand depends. In other words, it is the percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in one of the variables on which the demand depends. So the variables on which the demand depends can be price of the commodity, price of related commodities, or consumers' income, etc. So in the elasticity of demand, the formula is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in determinant of demand. So it can be also done as the delta Q divided by delta P into P by Q. That is the formula for elasticity of demand. So there are three types of elasticity of demand. One is price elasticity of demand, cross elasticity of demand, and the income elasticity of demand. Let us see one by one what you mean by all those kinds of demand. So the first one is price elasticity of demand. So other things remaining the same due to the certain percentage change in price, if certain percentage change in demand of the commodity. So this is known as price elasticity of demand. That means here the demand is depending on the determinant of the price, treating that all the other determinants are constant, remains constant, or you can, the other word we can add is it is variables. So the change in percentage change in price, if certain percentage change in the demand of the commodity. So this is called as the price elasticity of demand. So here we are going to study the changes in the demand with respect to the variation in the prices. So EP is equal to percentage change in delta Q divided by delta P. So EP is called as price elasticity, P is the price, Q is the quantity, and delta is the change in the quantity demanded or change in the price. So there are again five types of price elasticity. The first one is called perfect elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, relatively elastic, unitary inelastic demand, and relatively inelastic demand. So unitary elastics of demand where the E value is equal to 1, elasticity demand is greater than 1, inelastic is less than 1. So these are the different types of demand. So let us see one by one. As I told, perfect elastic, EP is infinity, perfectly inelastic, EP is equal to 0, relatively elastic, EP is greater than 1, relatively inelastic demand, EP is less than 1, unitary elastic demand, EP is equal to 1. And let us see one by one what you mean by this. So the first one is perfectly elastic demand, where E takes the value of infinity. So here in the what we call, even there is minor or nothing as good as 0% change in the price results in tremendous percentage change in demand. This is known as perfectly elastic demand. We can say in other words that it is a situation in which demand of a commodity continuously changes without any change in the price, or it can, like you can see in the diagram. So even though the price remains the same, the quantity demanded is keeps on varying. So this is called as price elasticity of demand. That means example I have given, for 10% change in price, 10 to 15% change in demand is occurring. For whether there is an increase or decrease in change, the demand is changing tremendously. That is called as elastic, relatively perfectly elastic demand. So the next one is relatively elastic, perfectly inelastic demand. So in this perfectly inelastic demand, E takes the value of 0, that is absolute 0. So how it can be explained means, when extreme percentage change in price of the commodity, or if minor, nothing or as goods on 0 percentage in demand, is known as perfectly elastic demand. That means here for any change in the price, whether if the price is when the price is P1, the demand is Q1. When the price is P2 also, the demand is Q1. So when there is an increase or decrease in the change, the quantity demanded remains the same. That's why it is called as perfectly inelastic demand. And the next one is highly elastic demand. So in the highly elastic demand, we can see that when less percentage change in price of the commodity, or if as compared to that of more percentage change in demand is there, this is known as highly elastic demand. In other words, we can say that it is a situation in which percentage change in demand of commodity is higher than the percentage change in the price of the commodity. If there is a 5% change in price, it leads to 20 or 25% change in the demand. You can see that when the price is P1, the demand is Q1. When there is a little variation in the price, there is a huge demand for the product. So that's why it is called as high elastic demand. So the next one is unitary elastic demand. So where EEP takes the value of 1. So here when the price decreases, the same amount of demand increases. If the price increases to 10%, the demand also increases. The demand also decreases to 10%. If the price decreases by 10%, the demand also increases by 10%. So that is why it is called as unitary elastic demand. And the next one is relatively inelastic demand, where it takes the value of less than 1. So when the price increases in a larger way but the demand decreases, when the price changes by 20% but the demand changes by only by the 5%. Even when there is an increase or decrease in the price in a larger way, the increase or decrease in the demand is very less compared to the price. So that means when percentage change in demand of a commodity is less than the percentage change demand in price, we can explain with the help of the following example. Like if the 20% change in price, only there will be a 5% change in the demand. We can see in the graph also, like when the price is P1, the quantity demanded is Q. When the price decreased by P1, let in a greater way, the demand has been only increased in a small proportion. So that's why it is called as relatively inelastic demand. So these are where I put it in a tabular column, where it will be easy for you to understand. When this P is greater than the percentage change in demand is greater than the percentage change in price, and when it is less than 1, it is called inelastic. The percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price, and when P is equal to 1, the percentage change in demand is same as the percentage change in price, and when it is in infinity, here the producer can sell as much as they want, and when P is equal to 0, any change in price will have no impact on quantity demand. This is regarding different types of price elasticity of demand. And the next topic is, what are the factors that influencing the price elasticity of demand? These are the factors that influence the price elasticity of demand. One is nature of commodity, availability of substitutes, number of users, complementary goods, time period, durability, and habit, time, income of the consumers, and possibility of postponement. So let us see one by one how it affects. Nature of the commodity. By nature, we can classify commodities as necessaries, comforts, and luxury goods. Demand for necessaries like food grains, medicines, textbooks, etc. is relatively inelastic, and for comforts and luxury goods like cars, perfumes, furniture, etc., demand is relatively elastic. And the next one is availability of substitutes. So demand for a commodity will be more elastic if its close substitutes are available in the market, right? For example, lemon juice, sugarcane, etc. But commodities having no close substitutes like salt, the demand will be inelastic. That means whether the price increases decreases, the demand for the salt doesn't change, right? And the number of uses. So single use goods have less elastic demand, you can say charcoal and all, right? Multi-use goods have more elastic demand. Like example, electricity can be used for many multi-purpose, so the demand is elastic. Next one is complementary goods. So the demand for a commodity that is used in conjunction with the other commodities to satisfy a single want is relatively inelastic. Example I can give you, like when the fall of the price of the mobile handset will lead to rise in demand for SIM cards, right? So that is one example. And next one is the time period, you can say. So the elasticity of demand is always related to the period of time. It varies with the length of the time period. Generally speaking, the longer the duration of the period, greater will be the elasticity of demand, and shorter the period and it will be inelastic. So this is because a consumer can change the consumption habits in the long run in favor of cheaper substitutes of the commodities. And next one is durability of the commodity. The demand for durable goods is relatively elastic. Like example, furniture, washing machine, etc. So for the demand for perishable goods is inelastic, like example milk, vegetable and all. Next, urgency of the needs, like and the goods that are urgently needed will have relatively inelastic demand. Example like medicines, luxury goods that are less urgent have relatively elastic demand. Next, habits. Habits make a demand for certain goods relatively inelastic, like addicted goods, drugs, alcohols and all. So income of the consumers. So demand for goods is usually inelastic if the consumers has a high income. The demand pattern of a very rich and extremely poor person is rarely affected by significant changes in the price. And the last but not the least is possibility of postponement. Implies that the goods whose demand can be postponed by consumers to a near future, then the demand could be highly elastic. Example I can give you, purchasing a car or renovating a building can be postponed. Therefore, the demand is highly elastic. On the other hand, the demand for a particular product cannot be postponed. Then the demand would be inelastic. Example like urgency, like medicines and all, we can't postpone. It should be taken on time, right? So that's why these are the example for inelastic, where the possibility of postponement is not possible. So these are the factors that affects the elasticity of price elasticity of demand. And the next thing is we are going to study about, so these are the things you can refer where I've added this, the income elasticity of next topic is the income elasticity of demand. What do you mean by income elasticity of demand? So income elasticity of demand means the ratio of percentage change in the quantity demanded to the percentage change in income. That means you all know that when the percentage change of quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in income. In price elasticity, the denominator where the determinant we have taken is price, here the determinant is taken as the income. So EY equals percentage change in delta Q divided by percentage change in delta Y. Here EY represents income elasticity and Y represents the income. So the next one is the types of income elasticity. So there are three types of income elasticity: positive income elasticity of demand, negative income elasticity of demand, and zero income elasticity of demand. Let us see one by one what you mean by that. So the first one is positive income elasticity of demand. So here it refers to a situation when the demand of the product increases with increase in consumers' income and decreases with a decrease in consumer income. That means the income elasticity of demand is positive for normal goods like cloth, fruits, jewelry, etc. And the slope of the curve is always upward from left to right, which indicates that the increase in income crosses the increase in demand and vice versa. Therefore, in such case, the elasticity of demand is positive. Here you can see that when the income is A, the quantity demanded is Q, and when the income is B and the quantity demanded is Q1. So the slope is always from left to right. As the income increases, the demand also increases. In that, the first kind of demand is unitary income elasticity of demand. So what do you mean by unitary income elasticity of demand? This implies that positive income elasticity of demand would be unitary when the proportionate change in the quantity demanded is equal to the proportionate change in the income. For example, if the income is 10% and the quantity demanded increases to 10%, if the income increases to 20%, again the demand also increases to 20%, right? So that is called as unitary income elasticity of demand. In the graph you can see, when the income is y, the quantity demanded is q. When the income has been increased to y1, and the quantity demand also increases in the same proportion to q1. And the next one is high elasticity of demand. The high income elasticity of demand can be said as high if the proportionate change in the quantity demanded is proportionately more than the increase in income. Therefore, it can be regarded as positive income elasticity. Example, suppose the income of Mr. A is increased to 20%. As a result, his quantity demanded is increased by 50%, or almost double. Right? In this case, the income elasticity is greater than 1. You can see here, when the income is y, the quantity demanded is q. When the income has increased like 10%, the quantity demanded has been increased to 20 to 30%. That's why there is a huge difference between the income and the demand. So that's why it is called as high income elasticity of demand. And the next one is low income elasticity of demand. So this is nothing but when the proportionate change in quantity demanded is less than the proportionate change in income, it can be regarded as income elasticity. Example, let us assume that the income of someone is increased by 50%, but he extended his quantity demanded by 25% only. So that means when the income is y, the demand is q. When the income has been increased to 30%, but the demand is only increased to 10%, that is called as it is low income elasticity of demand. And the next one is negative income elasticity of demand, where the e or ey takes the value less than 0. Here, in case of inferior goods, the income elasticity of demand is negative because there will be an inverse relationship between income and demand for inferior goods. As income increases, demand for inferior goods decreases, and vice versa. For example, if the income of a consumer is increased, he would prefer to purchase wheat instead of millet. In such a case, millet is inferior to wheat and elasticity is negative. You can see here, when the income has increased, the demand is q1. When the income has been increased to y1 and the demand has been increased to q. And the last one is zero income elasticity of demand. So in case of zero income elasticity of demand, the necessary goods, whether income increases or decreases, the quantity demanded remains the same. So zero income is found here. Typical example can be matchbox salt. Whether the income increases or decreases, how much we want, we will buy the same. So you can see, when the income is y, the quantity demanded is same. When the income has been increased to y1, the quantity demanded is also same. So this is regarding your zero income elasticity of demand. And the last one is cross elasticity of demand. So here, in price elasticity and income elasticity, the quantity x demanded divided by the income of the same commodity, right, of a person, or the price of the commodity, same price of the commodity. But here the other things remaining the same due to the certain percentage change in price of one commodity to the certain percentage change in demand to another commodity is known as cross elasticity of demand. That means the percentage change in quantity demanded of y commodity divided by percentage change in price of x commodity. So that is the difference between the income, price, and cross elasticity of demand. And there are two types of cross elasticity of demand. One is positive cross elasticity and the negative cross elasticity. So what do you mean by positive cross elasticity? Positive cross elasticity implies that between two goods x and y, quantity demand of x moves in the same direction of the as the price. Like example, For substitutes, quantity demand for one good moves in the same direction as the price of the other. Example, Coke and Pepsi, Siemens, Hydro, right? These are some of the examples. So negative cross elasticity for complements, right? Quantity demand for one good moves in the opposite direction as the price of the other. You can say negative demanded of one good moves in the opposite direction as the price of the other, like petrol, diesel, or you can say uh, coffee, tea, and also these are some of the examples of cross elasticity of demand. And the last topic is what are the uses of the uh, elasticity of demand. The first thing is determination of price of the demand of the product, basis of price discrimination, and the determination of rewards of factors of production, government policies, proportion of expenditure, public utilities, and international trade. So let us see one by one. Determination of price demand of the product. The concept of elasticity demand is a great importance for determining prices of various factors of production and basis of price discrimination. The concept of elasticity for demand is a great importance for determining prices of various factors of production. Factors of production are paid according to their elasticity of demand. In other words, if the demand of the factor is inelastic, its price will be high, and if it is elastic, its price will be low. Next one is determination of rewards of factors of production. The concept of elasticity of demand also influences the determination of rewards for factors of production in the private enterprise economy. If the demand for labor on the particular industry is relatively inelastic, it will be easier for the trade union to get their wages raised. The same remarks apply to other factors of production whose demands are relatively inelastic. And the next one is government policies of taxation. The concept of elasticity of demand also proves helpful to the government in the formulation of its economic and taxation policies. The finance minister has to consider the nature of elasticity of demand for the commodity before levying an excise tax on it. And the next one is proportion of expenditure. The concept of elasticity of demand also enables the government to decide as what particular industry should be declared as public utilities, being consequently owned and operated by the state. And the international trade. So it is possible to calculate the terms of trade between two countries only by taking into account the mutual elasticity of demand for each product. The term of trade implies the rate with which one unit of domestic commodity will exchange for units of commodity of the other, and the public utilities international trade. So these are the some of the uses of elasticity of demand. And the last but not the least is advertising or promotional elasticity of demand. It is nothing but the promotional elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of demand to the given change in advertising expenditure or promotional activities. So that is EA is nothing but proportionate change in quantity demanded or sales of commodity divided by proportionate changes in advertising expenditure X. So when EA is less than 1, the firm should go greater than 1. The firm should go for heavy expenditure advertisement. When it is less than 1, a firm should not spend too much on the advertisement. So these are the different types of elasticity of demand. Thank you.